Hey, this is Angel. In this video, I'm going to be discussing narcissistic rage, the inevitable silencer. Welcome to, or welcome back to, narc-repellant. This channel is devoted to those seeking understanding, strategies, and support as they are recovering from narcissistic abuse and trauma. If you're interested in gaining further perspective on this subject, you've come to the right place. I'd now like to invite you to please press subscribe, share, and like, as you know YouTubers need that support to survive. Thank you. Okay, our quote for the day comes from William Shakespeare. Men in rage strike those that wish them best. We've all learned about Shakespeare in school and have at least seen Romeo and Juliet, one of his most famous plays, but in that statement, sounds like Shakespeare knew a little something about narcissism. Okay, my new survivor friends, now let's jump into today's topic. When we think about rage, we can all envision an experience that was frighteningly violent that we've seen in a movie or on TV. The rage of a narcissist can be quite scary and unpredictable. This is not just a screaming match. No, this rage is a one-sided, all-out attack on your character, on your person, that the narcissist will not give up on until they have beaten their victim to a pulp and consider themselves the winner. This game the narcissist plays with their victim is threatening and dangerous to yourself. Verbal, emotional, psychological abuse is abuse. Yelling, screaming at someone with no let-up for hours is abuse. Unfortunately, most of us who are in a relationship with a narcissist will not easily recognize this as abuse. During these arguments, we devote our response to defending ourselves. When given a moment to speak anyway, we try to understand what the hell is going on. Where did this attack come from? What did I do that created this monster in the attack I'm experiencing? What could I possibly have done to deserve this extreme of a response? Then we try to understand the sad state our love must be in to be this angry at us. Well, the rage is coming directly our way, it seems. However, what we must realize is that the rage really has nothing to do with anyone around the narcissist. This was a very difficult concept for me to understand because when it's coming at you, it feels pretty strong. They make you feel so responsible. They make you feel so bad, so ashamed, so humiliated for whatever they are accusing you of doing or saying. It's truly part of the crazy making. Why does the narcissist rage? Well, like I've indicated below, I'm not a mental health professional. However, I've studied and researched these topics and have experienced this narcissistic abuse firsthand since I was a kid. That being said, I welcome additional helpful comments below. Healthline.com defines narcissistic rage as an outburst of intense anger or silence. Both happen when a person with narcissistic personality disorder feels their self-esteem or self-worth is threatened or injured by another person or an event. So when the narc experiences what is referred to as a narcissistic injury, an attack on their belief of reality, their false self, the mask you hear people refer to, they fear their image or this false self will be exposed. I can't imagine the grief and fear this could cause someone with such insecurity and emotional immaturity. The narcissist will do anything to stop the oncoming injury. Their rage is their attempt to get that threat to stop. I've heard others say that this rage is as ugly and as threatening as what's happening deep within the narcissist. Now that's a scary thought. The narcissist or baby vampire is threatened by anyone who could possibly expose them. This person will be punished heartily. That person's reality will be punished and scorned. Whatever you have done to make the narc believe there is a threat is unforgivable. The narc will rage, panic, use projection to get you to succumb to their accusations. A full-blown narc rage and temper tantrum is a scary experience. I know I felt terrorized, interrogated, frozen with fear. I have a couple things you could do that could help. First of all, you will need to work on going no contact. I have videos where I discuss this, as do many other YouTubers. Check videos out about going no contact. No contact means that you must not have any further contact with this toxic person. No phone calls, no texting, no emailing, no social media. This person will continue to hurt you and destroy your sense of reality if you continue to allow the rages and the attacks and the abuse. Secondly, if you are able to have self-control enough to stay away from your very charming narcissist, but the narc will not leave you alone, then there is something else you may need to do. If you are being harassed or stalked, seek police protection. My narc harassed me, stalked me, kept contact in every way he possibly could find, even after a number of months and a number of attempts of mine, to be very clear. It unnerved me. He was set on continuing to ruin my life by his influence. When he showed up at my social event to torment me further and to begin his smear campaign, I had enough. I believed that he was not going to stop harassing me. I felt I had enough documentation on his abuse and lack of respecting my rights that I went to the local police department and filed a police report in order to gain a court order for a temporary restraining order. It's a pretty powerful moment. Although this angle will not be right for everyone in every situation, for me it has been a godsend. Taking the narc to court with the police report must have caused great enough injury that he has stayed away. I'd like to share with you some of what was in that transcript that I submitted to the court in reference specifically to those narcissistic rages. And then I'd like to offer my support to anyone in need of direction for gaining a court order against a narcissist who has abused you. Here is the transcript. For too long, I was head over heels for this man, and while it appeared to all of those around us that we had a beautiful, loving relationship, the truth is that within the first 5 months, his behavior changed drastically. He became highly suspicious and vigilant, accusing me of kissing or being sexually involved with other male friends I'd had for decades that he knew there was absolutely no romantic interest in. His constant jealousy and accusations of what he thought I was doing or thought I was saying brought on vicious, violent fights where he would bully, intimidate, berate, and rage at me for hours. He would adamantly demand apologies for what he accused me of doing, which was behavior always inconsistent with my character. He would not let up until he got what he wanted, which was my absolute submission. I'd never been in a relationship with a man who wanted to fight and argue for hours. Well, he felt this was normal. During these fights, I could use no verbal defense, as he was the only one of us who knew the truth. There was never a time I could convince him that his reality did not mesh with mine. However, I was committed to this man. I tried everything I could to reason with him. I thought I had to keep doing everything to prove my love and devotion to him. I found myself to be so controlled and manipulated by these vicious, rageful attacks. He would fire question after question, never allowing me to respond. This would usually occur while I was either in his car or in my bedroom, and it would go on for 4 to 6 hours. I was scared to death of his violent behavior. His abuse was physical, emotional, and psychological. He held me captive against my will by raging at me to the point where I didn't feel safe that I could get away without harm. It was like I was held hostage. I became so depleted and confused about what he'd been doing those months. This man took total advantage of my good nature and my compassion. He bullied me. He controlled me. His suspicions and accusations were exhausting. He raged at me for hours. He tormented me. He was very aggressive. During these sometimes 6-hour fights, I would weep. I would try and reason with him. I would tell him how I saw things. My statements had no bearing. He would not believe me. If I wanted to survive through another night, I would have to end up begging for mercy on my hands and knees. It could take 2 weeks before I'd feel like myself again after each of these fights. Each time he fought with me, it would wear me down just a little bit more. I'd feel totally beat up after these events, and there was no one to console me. I couldn't tell my friends about any of this. No one knew. Everyone who met him thought he was perfect. We were the perfect couple. They called us the lovebirds. I was so ashamed. I was so humiliated when I realized what I'd allowed him to do to me. It's hard to explain how brainwashed you become by narcissistic charm, their manipulations, their psychological games, their torturous rages. There was never any compromise with the narc. I was blamed for the fights, as I must have caused them. He said the most disgusting things to me during these fights. It was mostly character assassination. He'd accuse me of kissing or sleeping with one of my friends. It was crazy. There was never a thought of that in my mind. He bullied me. He belittled. He berated. He interrogated. He yelled. He screamed. He accused. He would deny. He attacked. After months of this, I developed migraines, severe anxiety, and panic disorder, along with resulting PTSD. I just want my life back. That's the end of that portion of the transcript. That was months ago now. At the end of the hearing, the judge wagged his finger at the narc and let him know that he was not to bother me anymore. No contact from him. He is not to show up at my social events. He is not to show up at my door. He is to stay away from my friends. This was perfect. What a win this was for me. That baby was so rude to the judge. He kept interrupting him. He was a total jerk. So much has changed since that. It was so many months ago now. Although the narc made a few attempts to hoover me by sending unmarked gifts with no return address, I knew it was him. I refuse any delivery attempt. He's tried to use a friend as one of his flying monkeys, but that's not happening. I want nothing from him. He has nothing to give me. He only wants to take. That's how narcissists are. If you're going through anything like this right now, please seek help and support. What is the lesson here? It's almost the same as my last video. Pay attention. Pay attention to what's happening in your life. You have to trust yourself. You have to have strong boundaries. You have a choice in who is in your life. Make good choices. My new friends, always remember to be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself. Remember that you are loved. You are worthy just because you are you. If your first caregivers were not able to give you that message, as mine were not, you need to give it to yourself. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Have a beautiful day.